22. This is a 7.
All right, dude, we are live now.
We are live.
Sweet. So you're putting a 2022/7 in the stand. What do they call that color?
It's factory orange.
Factory orange. So what's up, man?
Not a whole lot. Got some sweet bikes out here. Trying to get some cool bikes going.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the new 22/7. I think that's the most important bike to talk about in the line. It's still alloy. It's under $4,000. So I think a little bit more accessible to a lot of people. It's a big travel 29er, really cool bike. And then we've got some good information to go over as far as maybe if you're going to upgrade your shocks, some things to keep in mind, some other cool things about the bike that Trek's kind of thought through. This is a medium/7 2022. Pretty sure these are basically sold out for 2022 already. So if you're looking for one, we've got bikes here. You have to pick them up in store though, so we cannot ship them to you. There's no funny way around that. But yeah, I figure, we've been really slow for the last week. So I thought tonight, maybe after we talked about the Slash, we get into a little bit about the bike industry and what's been going on.
Yeah.
And then, maybe even what we think's gonna kind of how things are gonna look moving forward. Some of our updated best predictions on the bike industry. Because I think a lot of things are going on right now and no one's talking about it. So
yeah, it'll be nice to kind of get the consumers in a bit on the loop, kind of seeing what's going on, seeing what we're dealing with in terms of parts availability and just bikes in general.
Yeah, so. And how we think things are going to look. I have an inability to tell a lie, so it should be interesting to see how many trade secrets I can release in this podcast.
That's some really good information from some really good people, but we can't really let where that information come from get out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like anything's like it's really a secret. Like I don't think anybody, says anything that's
going to be like world changing.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting stuff to know, but the trick here will be is how much of it can we recover from my memory rather than what I decide not to say. But no, that'll be fun. So yeah, we've got the /7. Do you want to kind of get us rolling through a little bit? Sure. Some things maybe you think are important.
So the /7 is Trek's entry level enduro bike. So if you're going for a long travel enduro bike, the /7 is going to be Trek's cheapest bike in their lineup. So it is going to be right at $38.99 for the 22 model with the SLX and XT build. So this is a super sweet bike. In 21 last year, they completely redesigned the Slash to go to their newer style. They went away from the straight shot down tube and added a bunch of really cool fancy features. So it's going to be a little longer. It's going to be a little slacker, but the seat post is going to be a little steeper. So it's going to make it pedal super efficiently, but it's also going to be a little more capable than the previous model year bike. In addition to this, they went with an upgrade on the travel up front and in back. So it's going to have a 170 up front, a 160 in the back. That's super nice, super good for big mountain enduro, big trails. Although for our local trails around here in St. Louis, for more of the cross-country style trails, it may be a bit much.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a ton of customers who rock a /7. Yeah, we're pretty cross-country, max like 400 feet of elevation anywhere. Typically, maybe closer to 2, and you're kind of going up and down most of the time. Really techie kind of stuff. Some older trails that were built, kind of starting back in the 90s, and they've kind of been improved over the years, or new trails have been added, but a lot of them will have pretty tight switchbacks, not a lot of like really bermed out turns or anything like that. So, yeah, but I think guys ride it a lot. I think the Slash is probably the most popular full suspension bike that we sell in the shop.
Super progressive. It's just, if you're looking for a big mountain bike that's ready to race enduros and go out west, the Slash is definitely the bike for you.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's popular, because, you know, people want a bike that's going to give them confidence. They want a 29er. They want to know they have enough travel. They want to make sure they've got the component spec that's not going to leave them hanging anywhere they take their bike. I think now more than ever, you know, we're seeing all these towns pop up with different bike parks. So I think no matter where you're at, if you're riding mountain bikes, there's probably something pretty cool within a few hours drive. So I think that's really starting to become part of the conversation when people are considering what bike to buy. Is like, I want to be out biked because I don't want to be under biked anywhere I go. And it's very possible, no matter where you're at,
exactly,
you can do so.
Yeah, like if you were to buy a bike like the Trek Fuel EX with 140 mil travel, that would be ideal for all the trails in St. Louis. However, if you go down to Shepherd Mountain, it may be a little underbiked. So something like the Slash, it's going to be the nice in between. It's going to be able to do a little bit of everything for you while still having the 29-inch wheels. Super sweet bike. Since it is one of their newer model bikes, it does have some really cool features. It's going to have the internal frame storage in the down tube on their alloy bikes, which has traditionally only been available on the carbon bikes. Super sweet. Allows you to put all your tools in the down tube and just seal it back up. Super nice technology.
Yeah, it's nice to see Trek put that onto the Slash. You know, even again on this kind of sub $4,000 full enduro rig, you're going to have that option there. Throw a tube in there would be my deal. I would, you know, I think that's the greatest thing ever. I think it's great when bike brands incorporate that in there, getting stuff into the bike and off your body. You know, I've done saddlebags and I've lost $80 worth of tools more times than I can count because I got something out of it. Maybe I didn't strap it up quite right when I was done, and then, or I just left it somewhere.
Not to mention having a saddlebag on a dropper post is not always the best idea.
Yeah, I've sucked them into wheels.
Yep. But yeah, it's super nice to have it all just out of the way. Can fit some snacks, everything to fix a flat, everything you really need in there.
Yeah, dude. Like that's like really good shape for like a nice piece of jerky, like a Slim Jim or something like that.
Yeah, you can fit a lot in there.
Maybe I'm big on Slim Jims and peanut M&Ms on the trail.
I was thinking maybe you can fit like a pixie stick in there. We got a bunch of those in the shop. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things.
Sweet.
So the shock. Do we want to talk about the shock on here?
Yeah, I can pull up.
So something interesting that we learned today about the Slash and its shock layout is that, especially if you're buying the Slash 7 and upgrading the shock, there's definitely going to be a couple of things that you're going to have to pay attention to. So the Trek Remedy 8, it's going to come with the Super Deluxe Select Plus with a piggyback on it. Now, this Slash does not have the piggyback on it. That's because with the piggyback on it, the lockout lever does not clear.
Right, we moved that
down here in the bottom third of the travel.
Scoot it in.
So on the Slash 7, you're going to have the RockShox Super Deluxe without a piggyback. On the 8, you're going to get the rebuilt new body style Super Deluxe, which is built so that the lockout lever will clear the bottom of the frame. However, on the original one, it's not. So it is super important that if you're replacing the shock on your Slash, that you make sure that is the updated body with through shaft. And Adam has some more specs on what shocks are compatible and what are not compatible.
Yeah, I pulled it up on the screen for our YouTube listeners who are subscribed and turned on notifications. And then they just went over and hit the like button just now.
Just now.
Just as I said, that was just really nice of them. And then they also jumped over to their iTunes account and subscribed to us there as well. And then for those folks, I'll read aloud.
So what we're reading now is stuff that we're getting from the Trek dealer site. We had some issues finding this when we were not logged into the dealer site. So not sure if this is publicly.
I have consumer friendly check marked on it, so we should be good. But basically it says that many aftermarket shocks will not fit, including the 21 Fox X2 coil, the 21 Fox X2 Air. Is that all the ones that won't fit?
I think that may be the ones that are compatible. Does it say?
No, these are all the ones that won't fit.
Okay.
No, those are the ones that will fit. Okay. But why would it say including? It says mini after. Oh, it says mini. I don't know how to read. Let's jump back. We need to get Riley over here. Riley, what do you get good grades? You do? Okay.
Probably better than anyone.
I'll read it. It's fine. So yes, it will work with the 21 Fox X2 coil, the 21 Fox X2 Air, the RockShox Super Deluxe coil, the 21, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Fox DPX2, MRP Hazard, and then any just typical inline shock.
Without a reservoir or piggyback.
Yeah.
So the regular RockShox Super Deluxe Air with the piggybacks does not fit. The lockout lever interferes in the bottom last third of travel. So the new shock body has extra clearance. It looks a lot different, and the lockout lever is kind of tucked away on the side. It's a lot cleaner design. If you come in store to take a look at the /8 that we have, you'll be able to see that new design in person, side by side.
All right, so I dropped off that page because now you have me worried that we're not supposed to show people that page. There's all kinds of cool information on there. Call us if you want some of that.
Yeah, we have a lot of really cool information about these bikes that Trek tells the dealers, but they expect us to tell the consumers instead of telling the consumers themselves.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's go talk to your local bike shop. Go to your local truck dealer. If you have questions about your bike, chances are you know if you have a modern bike, you have a barcode on the bottom they can just scan, and it automatically pulls up all the information they need for replacement parts and stuff like that. So yeah, your local bike shop is a great resource, and that's why you always hear support your local bike shop, which I hate that saying. I think it's silly, but I know before I had the shop here. I always made a point of going into my local bike shop, which was Southside at the time, here in St. Louis, and I would always make sure I got my parts for them because you want to keep them around for stuff like this because it's a lot easier to bring your bike into a shop and have them scan a barcode or look at your bike and them deal with it all the time.
Or show you in person.
Yeah, than having to call up the track and, a lot of awkwardness just over phones or looking stuff up on the internet. I mean, think about how much time you waste doing that.
Having those local experts, that's invaluable. And just spending a little extra money on some parts that we know you could get online for cheaper, but just putting that money back into the community, it's super good to see, and you'll really see some.
Is that the case always, though, that you can find parts for cheaper? Not so much anymore.
Yeah. So
you're talking from back in the olden days.
It used to be people would come in and say, "Hey, so I found this part cheaper online. Can you match that?" Like the whole Amazon thing. Big bike stores.
And the reason stuff like that would happen, so like I think like a common one is some of the the online bike retailers, or kind of, I guess they have local shops in whatever town they're in, but the ones with the bigger online presences that do a lot of volume as far as that goes, I think everybody can think of the big three. I won't mention anybody in particular because I don't really know what they do, except for basically what happens is manufacturers will sell large batches of older components, previous models, unsold units. Things happen to where manufacturers will have like huge batches that they need to move. So they'll sell them cheaper to some of those online retailers in order to get that older product out of there. And because they're buying these huge batches. So, it's not something that's available to your local bike shop. So that's when you used to see those price discrepancies, is when you had these bigger retailers buying big batches, and they could sell things at 10 to 20% off because they were previous year models, and then B, because they got a 20% discount themselves on that product by buying, a whole lot or whatever it may be in that. So that's where that comes from. It's not like your local bike shop is gouging prices. We're all trying to operate on the same margins. It's just they're buying bigger quantities. And since they get that product in cheaper, they were able to do that. Anymore, everything's pre-sold before it gets here. So don't expect to see deals on Shimano XT brakes for a while.
You offer a really good insight to there on how these online companies are able to do business. It's not your local bike shops are trying to scheme you or anything. It's just these shops are so big online that they just buy in such bulk. It's just they can't keep up.
Back that camera back up, put mustache back in view.
But yeah, it's really cool to have a really unique perspective on that from a bike shop owner, online smart detailing businessman. And
again, we did a pretty good amount of online sales in the year of 2020, a COVID year. That was great.
A lot of online sales.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
We were into the 6 digits on online sales.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, dude. I'm not going to say where. Somewhere in there. It's a big range.
We're in there.
It could be.
We're in there. But yeah, unfortunately, bikes cannot be purchased online and then shipped. If you do purchase a bike from us on our website, you do have to come pick it up in store. That's the only downside.
Yeah, which is dope. St. Louis is cool. This is winter, so Six Flags is closed, but right up the street from us, about a mile and a half, is Six Flags St. Louis. If you're a Midwesterner and you're coming to visit us, we have Hidden Valley Ski Resort, a mile and a half from us.
Nice little ski
It's
hill.
nothing special, but you can put skis on and ski.
It's a ski hill, not a ski mountain.
Yes, it is a ski hill. Yeah, so there's that, and that's fun. People love going there and doing that. I'm not a skier myself, but people love that. And then, we got the river. There's all kinds of good stuff to do. Plenty of riding around here. Make a trip of it. What is it? What are we, 8 hours from anybody? Come on, come see us.
Yeah, we got Chubb Trail. Chubb Trail is going to be rideable in any conditions. So if you're worried about coming out here not having a place to ride, Chubb Trail is always going to be rideable. It's going to be about 10-15 minutes from our shop.
Yeah,
so
I'll make anybody a deal. If they want to buy a Slash or a Remedy, I will book them a hotel room at the Haunted Holiday Inn right up the street. I'll book them a room at the Holiday Inn.
A free hotel room.
If you're coming from out of town, you got to have an out-of-state license. In Illinois, does not count. It has to be a distance where you can't just drive home in a couple hours.
That's a really good deal.
Case by case basis.
For y'all listening.
But call me for that offer.
If you're worried about getting a bike and you need to drive, he'll cover your hotel. That's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, dude.
That's very generous.
Yeah.
Very
awesome.
If
our Red Bulls show up soon, I'll send you off with a free Red Bull for the cruise home. Why not?
Yeah, we'll hook it up here.
There, dude.
We really want to see these bikes in good hands, just getting shredded. Super cool to see them out on the trail. A lot less cool to have them just sitting around here in the shop. Definitely want to see them out there.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I rode a Slash 97 over at Bluffview. Is my only experience on a Slash, technically, or that I'm allowed to discuss. But no, it was fun. I loved it, dude. I didn't have to do anything. I mean, the bike it just did whatever it wanted to do. I was just kind of like, I wasn't even hanging on. I was just along for the ride, dude. It was nice. I loved it. I love this orange color. I think it's beautiful. What do you think of it?
I think it's pretty flashy. It's got a really nice metallic flake in it. So when the sun hits it, it kind of gets a little shift, a little metallic color. Super nice.
Is that a Slash 7 too? That blue one?
Yep.
With the red on it? That's Riley, grab that down for me and bring that over here.
Yeah, that is going to be a 21 model, which is still going to be the new model, the updated year. But it is just going to be a different color scheme. It's going to be a teal.
Oh, that's a 21?
Oh. And this is a 22. It's going to be the teal to navy fade.
Oh. What, do we have a 22 in a different than the other colorway?
We have a 22/8 in the Miami green.
No, we don't have. So that's factory orange. So we don't have a black owl. Black owl looks pretty dope too. That looks really cool, actually. I want one. I'll take one of each. I'll take an orange /7 and a black olive, which I think is a hilarious and great name. So one thing that was cool too, kind of when we were talking about the shock earlier, and you'll notice with the new Super Deluxe, it's that the reservoirs kind of offset to the right a little bit, rather than the previous year ones seem to be pretty straight on. I don't know if that's across the board or what there. But when we were looking at that, you notice on the Trek frames, they do put an indentation into the frame there. So, I think it kind of just stands out to talk about all that really goes into bikes, and an issue that Marin ran into, or an issue we had with some bikes we got from Marin earlier this year was, so a lot of these manufacturers have parts sitting in their warehouses overseas. SRAM just put out an article this week where they discussed they have more product on their shelves than ever, yet I have not been able to get a GX Eagle 12-speed derailleur in over a year and a half. I've had them on order with multiple vendors. They'll get canceled. I mean, it's crazy. And SRAM says they have more components than ever. The problem is they can't ship them and get them to where they need to get them to get them on bikes and everything else. So sometimes what's happening with manufacturers is like Marin had to switch a shock, I guess, over than the original design. And these companies put a lot of thought into what components are going to be on the bike, what the tolerances need to be, how that frame needs to be designed, how everything kind of works in unison. And that's why we're seeing such delays. I mean, I ordered these slashes at the beginning of COVID. So these bikes we ordered in May of 2020. It took a solid 2 years for these bikes to arrive. I've got, I think we've got a couple more slashes coming this week. They'll probably show up on Wednesday. But, you know, and a few more remedies as well, a couple of Roscoes. Those are all well over 24 months. And Trek has been insanely slow on getting bikes. I think anybody who's had a Trek bike on order knows this. Bikes are showing up now. So if you see stuff in stock and you're thinking about getting a Trek bike, I would jump on it. But what happened is, you know, these bikes are getting held up because one component's not available. Maybe that's the shock that they're waiting on. And maybe it's a component for the shock. Maybe the shocks are fully ready, except for one component that the shock needs to be able to mount up on the bike. So some manufacturers took some shortcuts and put different components on their bikes than they had originally planned, and unforeseen issues have occurred in some of those rigs. So
unlike other manufacturers that will just swap out a part to a different available part because that's what's available, Trek will actually redesign the entire part to make it work for that.
Yeah,
so super
Trek
awesome.
Can't do that. Their bikes are built to, and they don't sacrifice an extra millimeter here, this or that, in order to accommodate the part. The part's got to accommodate the bike.
Yeah, they trust their engineers and really listen to what the engineers say. They don't rush a bike to market because of what's available. They rush a bike to market because it's what the engineers. They don't rush the bike to market. They just do what the engineers say.
Which is why the 2022 Roscoe 6 still has a Boost 141 skewer on it.
That's what they say.
Yeah, no, you know, and it does. Trek has, and other bike companies as well think things through, but Trek definitely has a very large research and development.
Has any other bike company done developed exclusive shock technologies with suspension manufacturers? Because Trek has worked with both RockShox and Fox to develop exclusive technologies.
Like early on, I'm sure guys definitely did, you know.
But yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of another brand that has some exclusive technology like reactive or through shaft.
So you need a shock with a through shaft on the Slash 7. Just touch back on that. Anything else we need to know about the Slash? I don't feel like we really said much about it. Went off on a couple tangents about bike parts.
Yeah, it's a super solid frame. It's their entry level Slash. I mean, so you're going to get the really aggressive frame. You're going to get an XT drivetrain, so it's definitely not cheap, super high end by every mean. But on the higher end ones, you're going to get a little nicer suspension. Maybe some carbon bars on a 9.7 or 9.8 carbon frame, but
solid bike though. Yeah. If you're on like 120 mil travel full suspension bike right now, or you're on a hardtail,
or even a 140 travel front rear like a Fuel EX.
Yeah, if you're upgrading from a Fuel, stepping up to the 7's great. You're still going to be on an alloy frame, so you're not going to worry about it too much. It's going to keep price point down a little bit more, and then again, you can kind of build this bike's super solid out of the box. You know, you'll have everything you need to ride it and have a good time wherever you want to go. But you know, you can kind of slowly upgrade things to your specs. You know, that I think that's a hard thing for me on like buying too nice of a bike sometimes is, unless it just happens to be a perfect build. Like I really like the Remedies and the XT build. It's kind of a perfect build for me. everything I need on that bike. So
everyone has their own preferences on individual parts as well, like this
Right.
brand of brakes, this brand of shifting, this brand of suspension.
Right.
Each brand's gonna have a little different feel, a bit different design outlook as well.
Yeah, and we all know I don't know how many bike manufacturers come with like Hope brakes, but everybody wants Hope brakes. Everybody wants, something unique and fancy, whatever your taste and style is. They're all great. But yeah, those are all things you're going to do. And it feels a lot better to pull off an $80 brake and replace it with $200 brakes, $300 brakes than it does pulling off $200 brakes to replace with $300 brakes or anything like that. So I'm not cheap at all. I think I'm all about paying for quality or like paying for something solid.
You really care about the value of something, not how much it's going to cost.
Right. And I think with bikes, I kind of do the same thing as I do with like cars is it's like, okay, what do I need? And then what am I going to want to change later? So what can I kind of go a little easy on knowing that later on I'm going to kind of do that the way I want to do it. So I'm always a big fan of kind of, finding that good balance between not the absolute base always, but going up. And when we're talking about slashes, the slash is technically the base level slash. It's not a base level bike by any means.
It's basically a $4,000 bike. It's obviously not an entry level bike.
Right. So, but, so I think that's fine. It's going to, personally, I would buy a slash 7 and kind of upgrade things the way I wanted to. Give me some color matching Hope brakes, give me some hubs that match. Because we're only talking 50, these guys have the rapid drive hubs from Trek, 54 tooth. So again, someone buys this bike before you leave the shop with it, just like if you buy a Jeep, you put wheels on that thing before it leaves the lot, before this thing leaves your local bike shop. See if they can order you some paws and some springs, have them slap those in the rear hub, double up your engagement, make it sound nicer, and then you'll be ready to rock until you're ready to buy a set of matching hubs to your bicycle.
Yeah, until you blow up your wheels at Shepherd, it'll be ready to go.
Yeah, there you go. That's also a good time. Yeah, until you take a wheel building class, that would be good for everybody who rides a bike. So yeah, that's a slash 7. Bada bing, bada boom.
Super cool bike.
Yeah, man.
What was that one downhill bike we were talking about earlier? That crazy, the Honda one?
The Honda RN01 or something?
Yeah, the one that looks like a dirt bike.
Ooh.
So back in the early 2000s, Honda, actually the late 90s, Honda came out with a revolutionary aluminum frame design for their dirt bikes called the Twin Spar aluminum frame. And most manufacturers still run that style of frame to this date in 2021 or 2022. So in 2003 to 2006, around that time frame, Trek had a downhill bike that utilized some similar design technologies in that aluminum twin spar frame. It was super secretive. Ended up winning a couple downhill races, didn't it?
The Honda? Yeah, the Honda was winning. They were really secretive about that bike. So I know like our former mechanic Darren Grumpy Cat. He used to be a team mechanic, and I know he was at a few races where that was. And he was saying with that bike, like they were so particular about it, like it would do a run and then immediately go into the trailer. Like no one got to look at it, no one got to see it. Like I don't know, like when these articles that we found online came out, but I'm sure it was well after the fact when they stopped racing that bike.
That one article I saw, it said that whenever the bike came in off the trail, went into the truck, and then they took the gearbox out of the bike. The gearbox was a really big proprietary product of that bike. It was an internally geared downhill bike, which is pretty cool. So they took out that gearbox so that if the bike was stolen, that technology wouldn't get stolen along with it. 2 bikes did end up getting stolen, and the gearboxes were not in them, so they were able to keep that technology. Pretty cool bit of kind of skunkworks information for you. Super cool to see how a big company like Honda, when they just give unlimited resources to their R&D development department to see what they can do. I mean, Honda's not even a bicycle company, and they just developed the fastest mountain bike in 2004. So pretty cool.
Yeah, but it didn't last though. So what do you think of that?
Proof of concept. They could do it. They just choose not to do it.
Yeah, dude. I feel like I feel like it's just like every other like concept vehicle. It's just like it looks so dope. Like Yamaha's got their bike. I would love to see one of those in person, in real life. I think it's an e-bike. I think they have a non-e-bike though as well.
Really?
Yamaha's got like this like shiny silver, looks a lot like the Honda, and then it's got like blue shocks and stuff like that. It's just like little hints of blue all over the place. I want to say it was going to sell for like $8 grand, 10 grand, 11 grand, 12 grand, 14 grand,
that's
18
reasonable.
grand,
I mean,
28 grand.
High-end e-bikes are right around that price point. The new Trek Rail at fully spec is 13.5. That's pretty crazy. That's more than most dirt bikes.
Yep. Or you can get a cheap e-bike for $5,000.
We have ones for $1,000.
And you just gotta tighten bolts on it all the time. That's all. Just pay attention to it.
Just gotta keep up with it.
I think that's something to like keep in mind. Like, you know, and while not that an $8,000 bike is going to be any more durable, it's going to be less durable than a $5,000 bike. But if you're riding a mountain bike, if you're riding mountain bike trails, especially if you're riding $4,000 bikes, like your $4,000 bike is no less susceptible to, you know, bolts loosening up, to spokes needing, or to your wheel needing trued. None of these issues are any less apt to happen to a $4,000 bike than a $1,000 bike. So, you know, take care of your bike.
When pros ride and race these bikes, there's a reason why their mechanics are always going through them. Like you go down 1 or 2 race runs, a race weekend, they're going to completely tear down the bike, make sure everything's working good. I mean, even for an amateur like myself, after a hard weekend of riding, if you go out to a bike park on a trip someplace, more likely than not, a couple things are going to have loosened up on you, moved around. Just good to throw an Allen key in every bolt there. Just make sure it's not loose. You don't have to tighten it or loosen it. Just kind of wiggle it around in there and see if it moves. And then if it does move, then you can appropriately torque it down to what it needs to be.
All right, that's our weekly. We work at a bike shop, so we got to nag everybody about
Check your linkage
their
bolts.
chain.
Check your linkage bolts, lube your chain. Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, so there's been some interesting bikes over the years. You rode down at Shepherd this weekend?
Yep, on Sunday I did go down to Shepherd. That was a lot of fun. It was a little icy in the morning. There were a couple of little spills from some guys just not seeing ice, or seeing the ice and just not taking appropriate caution.
Just sending it.
Yeah.
Dude, I did some mountain boarding on the ice on Saturday.
That must have been sketchy.
Dude, it was like snowboarding. It was like snowboarding on ice, though. And like, because there was like a lot of pits from like just dogs or people walking on the trail, and then it froze. So you had all these like random holes, and like they're little tires. So like you hit them, and it just like sends you sideways, and you're sliding sideways. It's not good. It's so much fun, though.
But yeah, the sketchiest ice patch I saw at Shepherd was you go down a chute, and then right where you would want to be fully on your brakes before a sharp turn going down a steep hill, there's just a giant chunk of ice. So you have to delay that braking point till you're almost at the apex of the turn, and then you can hit the brakes. A little scary not being able to hit your brakes when you want to, but that's just the fun of Shepherd.
Yeah, and that's something interesting to keep in mind. Anytime you're riding below freezing temperatures, keep in mind there could be ice anywhere, especially from on bike trails, because it's shaded or you're likely in valleys.
And if it's your first time running the trail that day. So the first time going down the trails at Shepherd, we took extreme caution to make sure that there wasn't going to be any hidden ice. The second lap, we started picking up the pace. Third lap, we were going pretty fast. But that first lap, you really just want to take things slow. Make sure that there's not going to be any unexpected ice out on that trail.
Dude, we were sending it on our boards. We didn't care about all that.
Just straight sending it.
Yeah.
It's the way to do it.
It was mostly dirt. It was flat, though.
Yeah. Shepherd's a little riskier, a little more. You got to use your brain a little bit more there. If you don't, you'll crash really hard and it'll hurt. And I learned that lesson. So.
No dummies out there on Shepherd. Use your brain, because you're looking for ice. I guess because there's a couple places where ice can hide. It can hide under leaves. That's the real tricky ones. A lot of times in the winter, or what happens is maybe things start thawing out a little bit, and then you're coming around a turn, and that top layer of mud just kind of, or that what seemed hard slides out, and then you hit the ground. So
there were some nice like water puddles before drops that were completely frozen over. My roommate actually crashed on one of those his first run down. Just went off a drop, front end went out
Lost
from
the front
underneath
end.
him. Kind of a bummer. Scratched his stanchion.
Oh, that's a scary one.
Second ride on his new bike off a drop.
On the Remedy?
Yep.
Oh, dude, the Remedies took a beating this weekend.
They took a beating. My roommate,
dude.
he scratched his stanchion, and I blew up my rear wheel, put a nice big dent in the hook, so it will not hold air.
Because you did not have cush core in there.
I was not running an insert. Just kind of hit a rock really hard and lost all pressure in my tire, so that was no fun. So I guess it's a really good way for the universe to tell me I need to learn how to build wheels. So that will be my next fun adventure, building a wheel.
Yeah, Brett's going to show you how to build a wheel. We're going to order a rim up, and it'll be a direct swap over. Should be nice and easy, quick process for you. That'll be fun. And then you'll also put cush core in, I'm assuming, before that wheel
definitely
gets
some type of
up.
insert. Definitely going to run a thicker casing. I was running an Exo Plus DHR2 in a 2.8 width. So I'll definitely be upping that to a downhill or possibly even double down.
You're running a 2.8 back there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and in case, maybe people don't remember, but I mean, technically, me and Mustache are sharing this bike. So he kind of broke my wheel at the same time. So I'm just a little bit disheartened that our bike took a hit like that, but it's all right.
I was pretty upset when it happened.
You were having a good time though, right?
Until it happened.
That's all that really matters to me. So that's good. But yeah, and that kind of speaks to like the reason, I'm outboarding a lot right now. That's kind of my passion at the moment. So, that's my main focus. But we decided that if you were going to buy that bike, that you had to share it with me and let me ride it whenever I wanted. The reason I would make such a deal, instead of just having my own bike that Mustache isn't going to trash at Shepherd Mountain, is because bikes are so limited right now. So like I said, we ordered these bikes back in 2020. We've got them. If we order one now, what are we looking at? 2024, late 2024 before we'll get another one?
I've been working at Mountain Bike Shed since March of 2021, and I've been wanting to buy a Remedy that entire time, and there hasn't ever been an opportunity for me to buy a Remedy until this past month. So that's something to think about.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not pulling bikes off the floor for myself because they're so thin, and I know, especially come springtime, come 30 to 60 days from now, that there's really going to be it's going to be really hard to find one, and I'm going to feel terrible if I took a Remedy and I got a guy who's so stoked up and wants a Remedy 8 and medium large, and I'm like, that's my garage, bro. So I did not do that, even against my better judgment. And technically, I mean, doctor's orders. I mean, I'm my neurologist, my physical therapist, both want to see me getting back on the bike a little bit more. So, I'm putting aside my own health and safety to sell bikes. Come by. This has been a real heavy. I'm really throwing down the sales pitch this episode.
This is a good one for sure.
Yep. That's how the bike industry has slowed down in Missouri or in the Midwest, or at least around here, is because I'm trying to sell everybody bikes online.
So do we want to talk about that a little bit, or
just everything being slow?
So the past month we've been pretty slow since Christmas, and I don't think that's been just us. It's kind of around the board. Speaking to some other places, it's not just us.
Well, it's terrible timing too, because what has happened is that we had a lot of demand coming into, coming off COVID. We kind of sold out everything and couldn't replace items. So we put all the bike shops, everybody put a ton of stuff on back order. The manufacturers at that time were very worried as well that people were over ordering bikes because things were disappearing so quickly. And so, we were limited to how many bikes we could back order. And there's consequences if we don't take bikes that we back order. So we, of course, ordered, a reasonable amount. I think we're sitting pretty well on some nice enduro bikes. And come springtime, we'll have a little bit lower price point bikes finally showing up. I mean, we haven't had a $7,000 bike in here like a mountain bike
Mhm.
in over a year.
Mhm.
So we are going to
Yeah,
see some
I've
of those
never
showing
seen
up.
one.
Like it's going to be late into 2022 though. We're
Mhm.
still probably 5 months off of those showing up. So
Yeah.
many companies are still trying to catch up. And
Mhm.
what's happening now is they think all the shops kind of got a good influx of like gear and supplies
Mhm.
here in the fall, but not super great. And then so we finally got caught up to the consumer demand. And then as soon as we did that, I think the consumer demand dropped off considerably.
A little bit.
Whether that's people kind of spooked about the new variant, and we're still
Mhm.
they've got a new variant of COVID coming out, and everybody's kind of getting it. So I don't know if that maybe is influencing people's habits. Prices stuff's definitely
Mhm.
going up.
Yeah,
So
all bikes have gone up 15%. That's certainly no small pill to swallow when you're buying $1,000 bike.
yeah,
$1,000
Orbea
bike.
just announced their price increase of about 15%. They showed
Mhm.
like their $7,100
Mhm.
bike going up to $7,800.
Mhm.
And the reason being, and Orbea talked about it, and it's something that our manufacturers, bikes, apparel,
Mhm.
parts, is the shipping costs and
Mhm.
the shipping availability. So kind of like we touched on before, it's not all these companies have bought new factories and upped production for for the last 2 years,
Mhm.
and they have all this product now, and now they're all going, we can't get it to anybody. We
Mhm.
don't have shipping containers.
Mhm.
We don't have boats
Mhm.
to take this stuff. Or even like Fox last year, they had a boat. It
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
hit some rough
Yeah,
water. They
their
lost like
flagship.
90 containers.
Yeah, their flagship helmet, the Rampage Pro Carbon, those are supposed to be dropping pretty early. Just lost entire containers full of $500 helmets. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. So and that I
Brett did have some insight from a shop he used to work at, that the shop he used to work at actually does not have any bikes in right now to sell.
yeah, it's weird.
Like, we're super lucky that we're able to have bikes right now. Like, not every shop is able to have bikes right
Yeah,
now.
and I mean, we didn't really receive. We kind of got a couple Fuel X5s throughout the year, but we really didn't. And some Burbs and kids' bikes were pretty loaded up on
Mhm.
kids' bikes and hybrids.
Yeah.
But we really didn't get that many bikes from Trek over the last 2 years. So maybe that is kind of catching up to
Mhm.
us a little bit
We
now.
definitely had that rush of Marin bikes earlier this year, all those Rip Zones and San Quentins. Super nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they made adjustments to get bikes out, and I don't know if that was the greatest idea in the world.
Yeah, they were that one manufacturer that was able to put bikes on almost every bike shop's floor.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good or bad? You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, basically, and so what's happened is I think everybody's starting to get stock in. I think we're all starting to realize, as far as retailers go, that we're sitting on a ton of inventory right now, or a high dollar amount of inventory, and consumer demand is weighing back down.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of normalized again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what we're going to see happening is retailers are going to start canceling a lot of pre-orders and a lot of pre-books on these manufacturers. These manufacturers are going to be stuck with this product sitting in those warehouses. And even if they do get it here, they're not going to have anybody to get it to. So I think that we're going to see a lot of companies scrambling come fall. I think this is kind of an early sign. Mountain biking is definitely a I think a lot of us do it because we feel we have to. I think for our mental health and just, being healthy and functioning people, it's not a luxury for us. So I don't mean to like discount what people are doing, because it's not, but it is a luxury good. Ultimately, if the prices of gasoline's going up, if the price of food's going up, if all these different things are happening, maybe your family's changing dynamics on who's working and who's not, then the first place you're going to start cutting money is going to be what people consider luxury goods or high-end bikes, high-end this, high-end this. Hobbies that, maybe it's ultimately not good for you to cut out, but in the interim, it's something that kind of gets shortchanged. So we're definitely on the tip of the spear as far as the economy goes a lot of times.
That's kind of mimicking something from another industry that a lot of our viewers may be familiar with. The gun industry a couple of years ago, they had a very similar increase in demand, stepped up their production, and then their demand ended up dropping. So it's very similar to what we're seeing in the bike world right now. It'll be interesting to see if it plays out the same.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know if the bike industry has had anything like this for a long time. Back in the 90s, there was, of course, the big bike boom back then. And they were selling a ton of GTs and Schwinn's, and I'm sure Mongooses were going out the doors. But I think it's a little bit different now, and we'll see how things turn out. I think just overall, the economy is not going to start looking better until we get past fall. So, and that's kind of, I tried to get out on our social media this week. Prices are going to continue to go up. So like getting back to the shipping thing, and maybe everybody's heard this by now, but a shipping container used to cost $2,800. Now it's $28,000. That's not an exaggeration. That's literally what it is. And then shipping times are increased because, you're sitting outside a port for a month before your barge gets checked in. So it's causing a lot of delays and cost increases there. That's not going to go away anytime soon. I think that's going to continue on for the next year, which is going to compound the economic issues we run into. Prices are going to continue to go up. So if you are looking at a big ticket item, that's where I'm sitting on a lot of inventory right now. We got a lot of really cool, really big bikes for people, and I know they'll go out the door. But for me, I wanted to make sure we grab these bikes before all these price increases start hitting up. So, even I think, in your household, it's a good time to consider stuff like that. If there are goods, you're going to need that are likely to go up in price, then maybe now is a good time to buy them. Like anything with a microchip in it, might be a good idea if you've been eyeballing some big piece of tech or whatever. Go ahead, pull the trigger, because 6 months from now, it's going to be 20% more expensive.
Yeah. So going hand in hand with that, we recently got set up with Klarna and PayPal Credit. So if you come in store, you can use Klarna. So you can ride now and pay later. There are several interest-free financing options available. So if you do want an enduro bike, your style of riding, you really want a new enduro bike, and you really want one of these that we have here at the shed, but you can't necessarily afford one right now, there's a lot of options that we can work out so that you can get the bike that you want and you need for your style of riding, without really having to deal with if you don't have enough money for that. We still just want to get these bikes out of the door, out on the trail, having a good time.
So, and just kind of general, because I think even folks who aren't going to be buying anything from us, we'll see Klarna pop up on, I know, if you're on the One Wheel website, you could purchase a One Wheel utilizing
car
Klarna.
Parts websites have that as well.
Car parts. So if that is an option for people, what does it basically look like? Because I know I wasn't super familiar with it.
So it's super simple. So before you even come into the store, you download the Klarna app to your phone. Klarna, with a little pink logo and a black K in cursive.
Oh, and we're not financial advisors, nor are we giving financial advice. Please read the terms and conditions on Klarna's website for any technical details.
Klarna, check out Klarna, and they'll be able to give you a little more information than we can. But I do know that with Klarna, they do offer a bunch of different payment plans. You can do a traditional financing plan month to month, but they will charge interest. You can do either a pay in 4 payment plan or a pay in 30 days payment plan, where you pay within 30 days, or you make 4 scheduled payments every 2 weeks. Either one of those options will result in interest-free financing. You will pay no extra. It's super awesome if you know, oh, I've got this car that's about to sell, I've got this bike that's about to sell, or just know that you'll be able to have that money coming in that you don't currently have. It's a super, super useful option to be able to get that bike. With that being said, with financing, it is super easy to get turned upside down on it. So you just want to make sure that you pay special attention to your financial situation, try and think a little bit ahead, and make sure that you're going to be able to make those payments if you do go down that route.
Yeah. Don't, use it because you can't afford the bike.
Mhm.
Use it because you don't want to spend all the money
Because
on
you
the
don't
bike right now.
you don't have the liquid assets for the bike at the moment, but
Right.
you do have
Yeah.
you do have the capability to pay
Yeah,
it back.
think very hard about before doing that.
Mhm.
Or if you know that you're not going to be able to pay it in 8 weeks or with the pay in 4,
Mhm.
which is the typical plan, then maybe look into one of the interest bearing,
Mhm.
one
Yeah.
of the interest kind
And
of
they have
works that they have.
more or less infinite amounts of financing options available. When you do the traditional financing option, you will work with Klarna directly to develop a plan specifically for you. So it's super option that they'll be able to super cool that they'll be able to work with you and give you a couple of different options to make that work.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of important because I know I've seen it a lot of different places and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So it is an option that's out there.
And we used to have Trek credit card, which it actually replaced. So Trek credit card was a in-store credit card that was run by a third party, by a bank. However, we got rid of that, switched to Klarna, and it's just a lot smoother integration. You can get set up with Klarna before you come in, and we just send you a link to your phone. You fill it out on your phone, and then boom, you're all paid up, ready to go, ready to ride today and pay later.
Right. And it appears as though, at least with the pay in 4 plan, there's no hard inquiry on your credit score or anything
It will
like
not
that.
affect your credit score if you get denied, which is really cool.
Yeah. So if you're a responsible person, you pay attention to such things. That's important. Or if you got a big purchase coming up other than your bicycle, then you can kind of do that under the radar. And it's something that it's worth considering an option like this. And I know, again, I am not a financial advisor by any means, but especially maybe if you're a younger person. Something like that, getting involved with a small loan, even if you go with the interest bearing one, making those payments consistently is going to make your credit score go up, and it's going to pay dividends for you later on.
Yeah, of course.
I've always, this is why I shouldn't give financial advice, because I know what maybe you should not do, but I've always paid cash for everything. Except for one car when I was 21, my first truck. I made payments and that got paid off, and that still shows up on my credit score. But other than that, I've always, I kind of just always paid for things. And what I've learned now that I've become more successful in my life is that successful people don't do that. Successful people actually do take out loans, small loans like that, and kind of pay it off and have that track record, so that when it does come time to maybe make bigger purchases, you're going to see a better interest rate, and you're going to be set up, and you're actually going to save money on those bigger things that you're going to want to do down the road. So
as much as a $4,000 bike purchase is going to seem like a big purchase to you, financing $4,000 versus financing $25,000 for a car, it's a lot easier to tackle, a lot smaller payment, a lot smaller to deal with.
Yeah, and if you're worried that you may not be able to do it, again, it's like riding a mountain bike, then don't do it. Yeah, if you pull up to a feature and you're a little bit sketched out by it, you're not supposed to ride that feature. Same thing with this.
If you have that thought that you may not be able to do it,
don't do it.
Your brain knows that you can't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's a really good option if you know that'll work for you, but it is really easy to get upside down on it. So please use it responsibly. Don't have no job and buy a $4,000 bike with no way to pay it back. But
I mean, to be fair, if you're a guy without a job and you buy a $4,000 bike, you're going to be so rad, so gnarly. You're going to find good employment almost immediately. And you're not going to think twice about $4,000 ever again.
Yeah. I mean, if you ride bikes every day, it's a lot of money. It's a big investment, but the amount of joy and satisfaction that you'll get out of that bike, especially if you have it for a couple of years, is going to be well worth the money.
Yeah, you're going to have a bike for a while. You're going to have it for 3 to 4 years, 5 years or more.
I've been in places where I've spent pretty much every last dime in my bank account on a new bike, and I honestly didn't regret it at all. Super happy with how it turned out. Super happy with having a sweet bike.
Every guy that's come in here over the age of 60, he's either on a brand new $9,000 bike, or he is on still probably paid $7,000 to $8,000, maybe $6,000 for the bike, but 15 years ago, and he's still shredding like crazy on it. So
if you take care of your stuff, it'll take care of you, especially with high-end stuff with lifetime warranties like Trek has.
Yep.
Anything big? So I guess the one thing that I missed on this bike is the down tube protector. It's a little different than on the slashes, than on the remedies and fuels. It's going to be a 2-piece down tube protector that's going to go the full length. It's going to be split right down the middle here, so you can replace either the top port or the bottom part. The older models only had the bottom part, so it's super nice that it goes the full length of the down tube there.
We had a customer 2 years ago on the older Slash models. They did not have that huge down tube protector. They had a protector there, but it was like pretty minimalist. And part of the shell was hanging out. And he had his bike for, it was a Slash 9.7 or it was a Slash 9.7. It was the raw carbon one, I'm pretty sure. And or he may have had the one that looked like a it was red and black.
Yeah, I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, we have a term we use for that color, but we won't say it here. But no, anyhow, within like 2 or 3 weeks, and he's very fast. Him and his brothers are all very fast, very gigantic, powerful men. He just had a rock come up and hit the bottom of his front triangle, just right near the bottom bracket, just barely missed the pad and cracked his frame.
And that's not the first. That's the first Slash we've seen that with that, but we've seen another brand.
Oh yeah, the only time I've seen that. We've sold a lot of Slashes. He's the only guy it happened to.
We've seen another brand bike come in here with a similar nick on the down tube, where it was right next to that protector. The protector did not save him, and he ended up with a cracked frame. So it is super nice to have that full length down tube shuttle guard.
Yeah, and if you're riding a carbon bike, maybe it's a good idea to take a look at the bottom of your bike, see how protected that down tube is on the exposed side, and maybe think about addressing that, because I think with these newer parks and stuff, there are some bigger rocks that are going to be kicking about.
I've seen some videos of, especially like some kids built some trails around here. I've seen some videos of people clipping their chain rings, dropping in on features that they built. That's really something that you want to pay attention to.
But yeah, protect your bike, protect yourself, protect your friends and family.
Yeah, I mean, just want to make sure everyone has a good time.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, because we're at 56 minutes and 37 seconds, I missed comments, so this would be a good time for us to come back and see comments.
Let's see some good comments.
They're going to be weird, spammy comments, I bet. Yes, they are. Oh wait, no.
We got a real comment.
We got one real good comment, and it's from our only sponsored rider here at the Mountain Bike Shed.
Big sender.
I don't remember what his Instagram handle is at this point. He keeps changing it.
It's
something cool every time.
Yeah.
Van the MTB, man?
It's something with van and mountain bikes.
I'm going to look it up.
I
can't not.
There's some underscores in there.
Yeah, Van's pretty awesome.
But yeah, give him a follow if you want to see him get shreddy on all the local trails.
Van is, cool. I don't think he would mind if I say this. He's not a very large gentleman. He's a very small guy, but he can whip a bike around, dude. He has zero fear. It scares me watching him ride a bike. And I just have to get out of the way and trust him, because he is just, really awesome. Kid's got a ton of heart.
Yeah, like when I saw him at the local dirt jumps, he was on a full rigid dirt jumper and was super eager to test out the biggest jumps he could find there, and was not afraid to crash on them. So it's super cool to have some local youth who are getting big sendy out here.
So it's Van _the _MTN _man, or
Van the Mountain Man.
Yeah, Van the Mountain Man. Or you can just search MTB Shed _Van.
Okay.
And be able to find his Instagram. But yeah, he just got he got his scooter. He's been rocking out his scooter, doing some cool tricks and stuff.
Got a BMX.
He just got a BMX bike.
Shredding that out at Ramp Riders. Been seeing him out there a couple times.
He's got a ton of fun videos on that. I've been watching, trying to share it to everybody as much as possible.
Yeah. That BMX bike fits him really well. Fits him a little bit better than the dirt jumper. He's super comfortable on that. I mean, it's a brand new bike, goes out to Ramp Riders and just shreds it. So that's pretty respectable. Super cool.
Yeah, I'm sure Van will be doing, and Van's been on a few of these live streams, actually. We just didn't really kind of point him out, and his dad kind of chatted with us too on one of the live streams. But Yeah, hopefully we can get him on a new enduro rig before the enduro season starts this year.
You'll see him out
Oh,
there.
and that's the other big thing. If anybody happens to still be listening, the Wheels Up Enduro tryouts are coming up this weekend on, I believe, Sunday.
At Chubb.
Yep, at Chubb here in Eureka. So jump over to their page, find out the details there, get signed up.
I've heard there are a lot of kids trying out for that. So should be interesting to see. How they were judging people is really cool. They weren't timing people on the stages, so it's not necessarily who's the fastest, most rowdy rider. They're judging it on who has proper trail etiquette, who has proper form, who has a functioning bike. So it's pretty cool to see that it's going to be more than just, oh, who's fast down the trail. Like, do you actually know how to ride a bike? Do you know how to be nice to other people? So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yep. No, yeah, I think, Coach Mike he put a video out on kind of running through some of those expectations. But yeah, really good folks, really good coaches. And I know a lot of the kids that are going to be out there. I mean, just we have such an awesome community of younger riders. Like Riley, comes here and volunteers at the shop and helps out. I know a lot of the younger riders volunteer at other shops around the area. And again, I'm always impressed by how good the manners are. How respectful the kids all are, how knowledgeable they are. Yeah. Really cool to see just an entire community of young men.
And then just how much stoke that they have for bikes. It's pretty cool to see how enthusiastic they are about bikes.
Yep.
That's super awesome.
And I'd say I'm trying to think of like one of the younger guys that I've ran into at a race or just in the community that I was just like, that dude sucks. Like, I can't think of anybody. Whereas I can think of plenty of kids who get on my nerves that suck, that don't ride mountain bikes. So I don't know. I made my daughter ride a mountain bike so she wouldn't suck. All right, we'll end it there.